I know. What a way to start. Okay. Now then, my thoughts on the Rings of Power so far. I think a new episode drops tomorrow, I believe, or the next day. Personally, I feel the show, it's failed on multiple fronts. And to start off, I want to say, to anyone who isn't aware, I am quite into Tolkien's writings, right? I've read Silmarillion, read The Hobbit, reading Lord of the Rings, read, actually no, that's all I've read, but I've done some personal research, and by that I mean I watch Nerd of the Rings and another channel called Council of the Rings. So, I'd like to say I'm fairly qualified for this discussion, but do note that there will be a degree of bias, right? So that, the main problem I have with it is not actually the accuracy. So, to those who aren't aware, the new show is, it's hardly even inspired by the, world Tolkien created. It's more so its own little thing. Taking characters and changing them and adding their own characters. So, to anyone who wants to watch the show because they're a fan of, I don't know, Peter Jackson's adaptation, The Lord of the Rings, then, don't go looking for anything in this show. Because not only is it not accurate, but one of my main distastes for it is it just doesn't feel special. It feels like a generic fantasy, right? Like, it's got the same music, it's got the same themes, it's just... It feels... Actually, wait, no, I take that back. The themes, there are no themes. And if there are themes, then I'm still trying to figure out what they are. Oh, wait, negative 33. I did quite good on that desert run. But, thing is, like... It's just... It's boring. It's just really boring. That's the problem with the new show. Like, first of all, they start off with 4 separate storylines. You've got Galadriel in Forward Waith at the start, but it changes, of course. Then you've got Elrond, who goes to Khazad-dûm. That's how you actually pronounce it. Then you've got, what are the others? You've got the Harfoots, and then you got the people in Southern Mordor, or the Southlands. I think people were calling it Before Door, which I quite like. And while there were people in Mordor, like, I feel like they're, overdoing it a bit. It's not exactly how it happened, but that's not important. What's important is the fact that 4 storylines doesn't really work, right? Because you're just starting a new show. Now, with Lord of the Rings, there were 4, right? You had, in the Two Towers, you had Frodo and Sam, you had Aragorn and friends, you had, oh yeah, God, of course. You then had Merry and Pippin, and then you also had Arwen, right? Now, the reason it worked is because in the Fellowship of the Ring, there was only one, right? So we got to know the characters over a 3.5-hour film. We got to know them adequately. When you start a series where everyone's separate, you don't have enough time to, get viewers to learn about the characters. But if you put them all in the same setting, then you do give them time, because, you can continue advancing the plot while exploring the characters, because, it's all in the same place. And it's just greater continuity. But once you've done that setup, then it's okay to start, separating the characters. But, yeah, in the books it happens a bit differently. Like, in the movies, The Lord of the Rings, you see them all the films, it, like, cuts to this, then cuts to that, whereas in the books, it's more like, oh, yeah, this chapter and this chapter, then this half of the book is these people, this half of the book is Frodo and Sam. Look, I'm going a bit, too far. Let's just say it like this. There's no connection to the characters in the new Rings of Power show. I don't care about any of them. Some of them I actively dislike, mainly the Harfoots, because I feel like their design is just bad. And it feels very generic fantasy, and their costumes are way, way less inspired than that of the Lord of the Rings show. The Harfoots in general, like... Oh, and Meteor Man. Meteor Man... For those who don't know, for some reason some character arrived in a meteor. If that is meant to be Gandalf, that makes no sense, because, as one of the Istari, he arrived by, boat and met with Círdan, who gave him the Ring of Fire. But let's not get bogged down with this. My main problem with it is I just don't care. It's like, every time they show a clip with, you know, the Half-Woods, I just think, can we go back to Numenor? Speaking of which, Numenor, I don't mind it. I think it feels less glamorous, but, you know, I mean, even in the books, it wasn't meant to be too glamorous. It was sort of like a falling island nation, going evil and all, so I think it was good that they had that one scene of those people who were fighting Halbrand. Speaking of Halbrand, his character's pretty stupid, like, oh yeah, just turn up in the middle of an ocean. Yeah, because why not? Why wouldn't you be on a raft in the middle of nowhere? Classic. Yeah, like, I just feel like, one really good point I heard from, I believe, the channel Council of the Rings, is that it feels like in modern cinema, a lot of the time, like, not all the time, but a lot of the time, it's not the characters who advance the plot anymore. Nowadays, you know, the plot just arrives at the character's doorstep, and it's less interesting that way. If that makes, you know, any sense. I'm kind of rambling a bit here, but you get what I mean, I hope, at least. It's just a shame that the characters just aren't interesting. Like, I feel like, here's the thing. The main problem they have, a lot with the plot as well, is that they just don't have the rights to anything. They've only got the appendices, and maybe a couple, like, chapters of the Silmarillion. I'm guessing they have, like, I'd imagine they have a Calaboth, which tells of the downfall of Numenor, and then also of the Rings of Power in the Third Age, which is, yeah, a name of one of the chapters. That chapter would be pretty damn important considering the name. Yeah, I can see them having rights to that. And also, like, the inclusion of the sea monster, if, you know, they actually did buy rights to that, that would have to be in, of the Lost Road. I don't know the exact name of the book, but it's something to do with the Lost Road. Oh. Hey, clustertruck. I think that's my first level failed. But yeah, I think they did buy rights to more stuff, but that's not the point. The point is that they don't have rights to much, and so they can't do a lot of things. Like, they couldn't even mention the name of Galadriel's brother, Finrod Felagund. Or, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name. Some dwarvish. I think, yeah, the dwarves gave him that name, I believe. But, yeah, they can't do anything with it, because they just don't have the rights. And that's meant to be the main motivation of Galadriel. Like, oh yeah, my brother died, Lamau. Like, yeah. They couldn't even include how he died. They just had to put some scratch marks on him. For those who don't know, he died to, like, a wolf. I think it was just a wolf, not a werewolf, of, Sauron in the original Minas Tirith. Why am I failing this level so much? Okay, I think I'm just being bad. But yeah, like, if they had to just... What's going on right now? If they had just bought the damn rights to more, I mean, look, it already cost them like a fortune to get the appendices, but then some Swedish gaming company bought the rights to bloody everything. And so you're like, alright, well, surely Amazon can spare a coin or two. But yeah, also, I feel like a lot of the characters who you're meant to kind of, you'd think would be portrayed as good, kind of not good, like Gil-galad, who was meant to be, you know, proper king of the Noldor, but now is just like, oh, a character that's very evidently lying to Elrond. And Elrond is... Okay, this is what I really hate. On the note of tokenism, for those who don't know, tokenism is basically when a company says, oh, we need to increase diversity within our ranks. And so they hire, I don't know, a woman, like, and don't actually, like, they give her less pay and everything, but they act like they're being all good, like, oh yeah, look... Or maybe they do. Look, the pay thing's not important. The point is, they're not hiring her because of her skills, they're hiring her because of, you know, the need to represent diversity. And so it's not really true equality, because you're only hiring them for effectively advertisement and reputation. Now, where does Rings of Power come into all this? Look, personally, I don't care about the whole, like, race thing. Like, I know they have a lot of... I don't know what the word is for, like, ethnic actors. I don't know, people who aren't Anglo-Saxon. I don't know how to phrase it, but you get the point. I don't care about that, because that doesn't change character, right? As for gender, I feel like it's kind of stupid to gender swap. Like, they changed Isildur's brother, or Isildur, that's how you pronounce it. They changed his brother into his sister, Anarion, who, you know, founded Minas Anor, which later became Minas Tirith. I don't know why they felt the need to change gender, that's very evidently tokenism. I get it, look, there are a lot of male characters in Tolkien's world. But like, you don't... I feel like changing it is very evidently just, yeah, tokenism. Tokenism is a bad thing, by the way. Everyone's decided. But... Where was my... Oh, yeah, my main problem is that they swapped Galadriel's character with Elrond's. Elrond was originally, you know, the warrior. He was the one who, you know... the son of Eärendil, he was a very important figure. High within the ranks. And he, you know, he was the one who would lead armies and such. I'm retarded. But in the new show, he's called a politician. Bro, he founded one place. Like, he founded Rivendell, and that hasn't even been brought up. He is not a politician. By any means. It's stupid to call him that. But the reason they did it is because, you know, that was more Galadriel's role. But Galadriel, realistically, her story goes that she wandered around looking for a place to call, you know, a cool kingdom. She found it a couple times. Ended up in Lothlorien. Oh, my time is not looking good. But yeah. They're swapping the roles. And I don't like that. Because it's very evidently tokenism, right? Like, what else could it be? Why else would they swap those roles? Because, you know, they could make Elrond the main character and have him do a bunch. Mind you, the whole Hunt for Sauron thing is pretty stupid, so, you know. Yeah. What else is there really to say? I'm bad at this game, clearly. But yeah, it's just like the new show, it feels like it's not focusing on making a good story. Right? It's focusing on, like, reputation of Amazon. Like, look, we include the woman. I got nothing against that, man, but do you have to change Galadriel's character entirely? They could have had a, I don't know, like, stand up to Fëanor, but you don't have the rights to that, so enjoy. Yeah, like, there are a lot of issues with the show, but yeah, as I said before, the main one, oh, that's cool. The main one is boredom. It's just not a very interesting show. Alright, the latest episode, wait, was it the latest or the other one? There was a good show, good episode recently, I believe. Mainly because they do look at some interesting things, like the whole idea of Elrond having daddy issues about Eärendil, because he did such a great thing, that is Eärendil, but, you know, he abandoned his family, save Elwing, the mother. It's interesting to look at that. Oh yeah, you can't stand there. But, like, you know, it's an overall negative. That one episode was kind of cool, you know, they foreshadowed the sinking of Numenor. I wonder how they're going to do that, because they've already kind of screwed up Numenor, and that's mainly with how they sent three boats to Middle-earth. In, you know, the actual writings, they send a fleet so great that the servants of Sauron flee before them. But no, we'll send 5 boats. Oh, 2 of them blew up, let's send 3. Feels very stupid. I also wonder if they're going to do the whole incest thing with Pharazôn. Because in the books, he marries Miriel, who is cousin. So, whoa, watch out for that. But yeah, like, they're already downscaling that. I wonder, everything's very wrong with the time, because Numenor, you know, they have no quarrels about sailing to Middle-earth in the books, right? In the series, they very evidently do. With even the thought of sending an elf back there being difficult for them, which is stupid if you ask me. Like, what is stopping them from going back to Middle-earth? But yeah, like, what was I saying? Completely forgotten. Oh yeah, the time thing. So they set up colonies in Middle-earth in the books, quite early on, right? Way before Miriel and Pharazôn. Whatever his name is, just Pharazôn. Could have called him Pharazôn. But yeah, like, in the new show, they don't, and they're sending a fleet over. Oh, sorry, a fleet, 3 boats over very late, and it feels strange. Oh, but yeah, it just feels less grand. I feel like, and also the fact that Numenor doesn't have a military. It's like it's meant to be this grand nation, yet they're not. Like, they sort of do that, but not like the architecture, and the massive cities imply that it's very evidently a very grand nation, yet they don't have a military. And that's because, you know, that in the new show they haven't gone to Middle Earth, which is wrong. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Season 2, that's for sure. Also, they're messing with Mithril. I think that's just because Gil-galad tells Elrond that, oh yeah, by the way, Mithril, very important stuff, it keeps elves alive. That is just completely bull. It doesn't happen at all. Yeah, they say it does, so, you know, it must. That was bad. Sorry, clustertruck gameplay. But yeah, like, I just feel like that's got to be a lie, right? Like Gil-galad's lying to Elrond, so just to get some mithril because he's greedy, and I don't like that about his character. Now, if he's not lying, then that messes with the lore in so many ways. Look, I don't know the origins of mithril. I don't even know if they're actually specified, but it's certainly not what they're saying, that a Silmaril was in a tree. There were never Silmarils in a tree. There was the light of the Silmarils in a tree, because that's where the Silmarils got their light from. Fuck. But one went to the water, the ocean. One went to fiery depths in the earth, and one went to the sky. Very poetic, you know. They didn't go into a tree and make mithril, you know. Mithril just exists. It's kind of vague, kind of nice that way, you know. It's like, oh, we don't need to know everything. Sometimes it's just cool to have stuff. Make sense? Probably not. But yeah, sorry I'm stressing over this level. If I can just... There. But, yeah, look. Oh yeah, one other thing. I feel like, yeah, they're taking away from the, you know, just how, like, cool and unique Middle-earth is. Exhibit A, dwarves that don't have beards. All dwarves had beards, and I know, look, the Hobbit movies weren't great either. You know, Killy didn't have a beard. That was kind of against their whole religion. Wait, religion? No, belief. That, you know, beards were of significance, right? That's how it's written in the books. That's how Peter Jackson does it. Yet, no, the dwarf women don't need beards because that would be taking away from their identity. Well, they don't actually say that, but it's what I imagine Amazon will be doing. As for villains, I think the Sauron mystery is pretty cool. Though, it's something that is only discussed with, you know, Tolkien fans, because other people wouldn't know that. I mean, they've probably heard the discussion by now, but you need to be a Tolkien reader to know that Sauron is in disguise. I thought it would be Halbrand, but that wouldn't make sense because first Sauron goes to Eregion and helps forge the rings, or at least helps to discuss how to. Tells Celebrimbor all about it. I'll talk a bit about Celebrimbor later because I have a lot of quarrels with his character design. But what was I gonna say? I feel like they're probably going to change how they do Sauron. They're probably going to have him... If it is Halbrand, then the Forging of the Rings will be at a different time. It's definitely not that other bloke that breeds orcs. That's not Sauron. Can't be. And by, when I say it can't be, technically it could be, but that just feels like a stupid idea. Then again... That's completely on the table, considering how far the show has gone so far. Damn it, that's actually really bad. What am I doing? But yeah, Celebrimbor. His character, why is he so old? I don't get it. Like, look, Peter Jackson was pushing it with Elrond, right? But what is Celebrimbor? He's so damn old. It doesn't make a tick of sense that an elf should look that old. But, oh yeah, Galadriel's redesign. Probably, I don't know why they did that. Probably just either couldn't get the original actor. Can't remember her name. or they just, I don't know. But I'm not too bothered about that. Galadriel's actual character though. Like, why did I try and do a flip there? I've actually just cost me a speedrun. But yeah, her character is so unlikable. Like, she's just grumpy all the time, and the one time she was happy, it was like, oh wow, she was on a horse with a really goofy grin. Wow. Oh damn, this speedrun's not looking good. But yeah. Alright, I didn't know if I could make that jump. But here we are. Ooh, that clutch. This truck. But, what was I gonna say? Yeah, her character's just not likable in any way, shape, or form. I make that. Running out of things to talk about. I think it just doesn't feel like Middle Earth. Like, the scenery, look, we haven't seen much of it. I'll give him that, right? Which truck? I'll stay further back this time. But, yeah, like... Also, the music... Look, I've heard people compliment it, but I honestly disagree with any compliments given to it. I think the music is a big letdown. It's mid. There's been no track that I'm much of a fan of. Even the main theme played in the trailers, I didn't think was special. It wasn't bad, but alright, I hate the Half-Foot theme. I don't know how I feel about the Numenor theme. It certainly works with the Numenor they're going for, but not with the Numenor I know and love. Oh, big mistake I made. What other themes exist? Oh, I hate the design of the Southlands people. I don't mind the Southlands themselves. But I hate the Southlanders. I don't know. I hate those weird-ass caps they wear. Because, like, look, I know it's medieval, but I'm not looking for medieval. Like, this is Tolkien. This is its own little world. Stop giving them this weird-ass design of a hat. It feels lazy, you know? Maybe not lazy, that's probably the wrong word, but you get what I mean. Like, it's not special. There it is. It's too generic. The Half-Woods where they clearly tried to actually design them just looks bad and weird. And pointless, like, why do they have, like, all those plants in them? I don't know what I'm saying right now. Probably makes no sense to anyone else. What? How did I die there? But, whoa. Yeah. I think the design is just, honestly, quite mid. It's just, it doesn't awaken something in me. Along with the music. The scenery, yeah, the scenery, it's like, it's there. It's not necessarily... Okay, I'm actually gonna screw up the speedrun, aren't I? I think I already have. Yeah, I've already screwed this up. I might as well just restart. Oh well, I might as well see it through to the end. That was actually intended. That was less intended. Had to rub my nose. Alright, that took way longer than it should have. Okay, for some reason that truck just had to do that. Might be able to make some time back with those skips. But yeah, I feel like we're not in Middle Earth anymore. Speaking of which, the first episode, in that little bit where they showed the map. Complete wrong map. You should be showing Beleriand. Of course, they don't have the rights to Beleriand. For those who don't know, the first age of Middle Earth took place in a place called Beleriand, which is part of Middle Earth but got sunk. Give me your ass. I wonder if I can just... That's stupid. I've made a terrible mistake. But yeah, sorry, I think I got a blood nose. That's not good for speedrunning. Mind you, this is hardly a speedrun anymore, just a rant about Rings of Power. Look, I think... Here, let me change the subject, because I'm kind of zoning out of myself. The appendix, well, appendices I should say, because there's 2 of them, has plenty of interesting content they could have done. They could have talked about Arnold. I think that's where it is, at least. I haven't read the appendix yet. They could have talked about... Give me a second. I need to focus. Could have talked about Gondor and its forming and its own civil war. And that civil war, that had racism. And considering how much the Rings of Power advertisement loves to tackle racism, they could have done that. They could have talked about that. And that's actually, like, an interesting story. I don't know much about it, but I know the core theme of, oh, our blood is more pure than theirs. Don't let it mix in. Should I just give up on the speedrun? Just do some, like, experimental strategies. I've been looking to do that anyway. I wonder if I could boost through that. Or I just do it. Yeah, I'm giving up on this run. So that's actually doable. Damn. Alright, more direct. But yeah, what's I saying? Yeah, it's just not special. It's a generic show. More interesting things they could have done. They should have bought more rights. They focus way too much of their energy on advertising the fact that, you know, this show is going to feature, you know, black actors. And they also... Alright, this bit... Look, I feel like a lot of Tolkien fans took things a bit too far with the whole, like, racism. Like, some people sounded genuinely racist when they were shaming a lot of these, you know, ethnically diverse cast, you know? I feel like some people were actually just racist, right? And I don't support that. But, I feel like Amazon, in a couple of statements that I do recall but can't quote, I could be wrong about this, right? But from memory, Amazon kind of just took that opportunity to call all Tolkien fans racist. Oh, and the big thing I hate about what they did is the fact that they released the show on the 2nd of September, the day that Tolkien died. That is disrespectful, I think. Everyone can agree. It's hard to explain why, but it just feels disrespectful. And maybe, therefore, my point is invalid. But a lot of people have been saying it, therefore it just can't be invalid. But, yeah, it's just... Look, if you're gonna release a show that pretends to be inspired, or, like, sorry, based on Tolkien's world, but then proceed to not actually do that, that's, you know, it's acceptable. It's annoying, but it's acceptable. But don't dishonor Tolkien like that, man. It's BM. Like, that's... Look, I'm sure if the man was alive, he probably wouldn't actually care that much. But, you know, I care. And a lot of other people care. It feels like BM on Amazon's part. That they're, you know, not staying true to the show. And, like, alright, look. Birthday, it's, like, slightly, you know, better. Not great, but... They could have done the birth date, but that wouldn't be, you know, a good time to release a movie series. I don't know how advertising works on that front, but seems like, you know, you release it in the summer or the winter, as far as I'm concerned. Fuck. But, yeah, like, on the death day, it's almost sending, like, a message like, oh, yeah, this era is over, Like, the time of man is over, the age of the orc has arrived. Not exactly, but you sort of get what I'm going at, probably. They could have just waited 20 more days for Hobbit Day, which is on the 22nd. That would have been a fine time to release the show. No one would have cared, right? It's Hobbit Day, right? It's just good old advertisement. But no, that would just be too good, too innocent for Amazon. And so, instead, they release it on a tragic day. In complete disrespect for the man, the myth, the legend. A man who made a whole world and then got this world interested in that world. It's just like, come on, man. Don't BM like that. I'm not gonna go all Twitter on you. Like, at the same time, it's like, oh, it's just a day. Age is just a number. It's just a word. Nah, But yeah, it's just a shame that Amazon have such levels of disrespect. And of course, when you say that, it's like, oh, well, look at what we're doing with our amazingly diverse cast. We must be amazing. It's just, it takes the life out of me. But yeah, I feel like even a really realistic show, like, it still would be a little disrespectful to release it on such a day. Like, do you think anyone, like, cared that it was released on that specific day? Do you think anyone was like, oh, wow. That, I mean, people cared, but do you reckon anyone actually, like, watched the show because of that? No. No one looked at that and said, oh, they're doing it on that date. Well, I better watch it then. No, that's not how it works. Like, there was no reason to do that specific date, right? No one, chose to watch it or didn't choose to watch it because of that. Therefore, it's useless and just a waste of respect. Waste of respect? Yeah, that makes complete sense. Don't question me. I probably shouldn't jump on that truck specifically. How did I clutch that? But yeah. What do you do? Ultimately, I feel like the show won't make it past 2 seasons. Because a lot of... So, this is what I hear. I don't know how true it is, but apparently a lot of the people who originally defended the show, like, are now realizing, wow, this kind of sucks. Now, one thing, though. The episode that releases tomorrow, or the next day, I don't know. I think it's... Actually, yeah, I think the next day. Maybe even further away, but... The thing is... That episode is gonna combine some of the character arcs, because as far as I'm concerned, Galadriel and the Númenóreans are going over to the Southlands, where, what's her name? Bronwyn and that guy are. What's his name again? I'll remember eventually, don't worry. Erondia? Is that his name? Yeah, so those characters are gonna meet up. No idea where the Harfoots are. Hey, look, clustertruck 3322.63. That is not good. But yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so on that episode, that's gonna be like a big deciding point. Whether or not the show survives or not. When the characters meet up, is it going to be a success, a failure, or mid? I think it's going to be mid, and they might greenlight a 3rd season at the most. Because, the thing is, they could do a lot of interesting things. Like, you know, it's pretty obvious that Anarian's architectural skills will come in handy when constructing Minas Anor, aka Minas Tirith. But, same time, it's like, will we get that far? I wonder how this current season's gonna end. Like, will they do, the Fall of Númenor? Spoilers, by the way. Yeah, spoiler warning. But yeah, no idea how this one's gonna end. Maybe the fall of current bad guy, Adar. That's his name, I remembered. Look at me. Oh yeah, orc design. It's there, you know. I think the skulls are a bit goofy. A lot of people have pointed out that it looks a lot like the Lion King, hyenas. As in, the ones with skulls. Look, don't worry about it. But yeah, I mean, it's just sad, man. I remember when they released that one image of the two trees of Valinor. Teleprion and something. I gotta memorize those names. But I was really hyped, because I thought it was a Silmarillion show, which I think is possible if you focus more on the characters rather than the plot. Because in the Silmarillion book, it's very plot heavy, barely any story. Lord of the Rings mixes in both. There's a fair bit of plot, fair bit of story, which is why it's a good book. Silmarillion failed because it didn't have both, but I think it's a quite good book, and I recommend reading it. But yeah, I'm just sad. I was really hyped, because I remember in year 6 I watched a fake trailer for Silmarillion, and just like, oh damn, that looks really cool, before realizing it was fake. But yeah, Clustertruck. Oh my god, voice crack. Clustertruck, good game, play it, please. See ya.